You wouldn't leave a rotting fish under your car seat for a month and not expect consequences. But most of us leave a rotting belief under the hood of our business for years. And then we wonder why we're burnt out, reactive, or stuck. Well, it's time to name your stinky fish and take your power back. Something that I face every day is knowing that there's always something holding me back. There's an inner thought preventing my growth or my confidence or my clarity, but I never say it out loud. But what if naming it was the fastest way to move through it and to break through it? I'm stoked because this episode, it's one of the most powerful tools that I've ever used. It was used on me. I now use it on my clients. I use it on stage. I use it at our retreats, and I use it in my own life. Truthfully, I avoid it sometimes because it works every time and I'm not ready for that growth, but I use it. And it's a massive pattern interrupter. It is a gas pedal for your business. And truthfully, it feels like a detoxing of your soul all in one. And once you learn it, you'll use it for the rest of your life. Or I invite you to. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the Mind of George show. I'm George. Hi, got it. But this is the place where we understand and realize that true scaling isn't about hacks or tactics. It's about breaking through the glass ceiling by aligning our mindset, our message, and our marketing to create sustainable growth. Growth that feels authentic, growth that feels aligned, and growth that doesn't make you feel like your soul needs a shower. We cut through the noise and focus on what actually moves the needle. And in today's episode, I'm going to walk you through the Stinky Fish Exercise. This is a 3-step tool that I use with every private client, every team I work with, every event attendee, every time I do a talk on mindset or becoming the person who wants to scale their business. I use this tool. It's simple, it's direct, and it works every time. Because what you learn is you learn how to spot the thoughts or beliefs that are poisoning your momentum. And once you spot them, you know how to pull them out by the roots, right? Weed them out of the garden or take that stinky fish out of the car, and how to finally feel lighter, clearer, and more focused in your business again. Okay. This tool, I've used this, I've taught this, I've facilitated this hundreds and hundreds of times. And every single time at every level of entrepreneur, they're like, this was the most powerful thing I've ever done. And it's so simple. And I'm like, 100%. Because most entrepreneurs, myself included, aren't stuck because of strategy. We're stuck because of unspoken beliefs or unspoken thoughts that truthfully, silently dictate our behavior. Procrastination, overworking, resentment, burnout. And they all point to some stinky fish that we haven't named yet. And the longer you leave it, the worse it smells. And so in today's episode, I break this down in under 20 minutes. What a stinky fish really is and how to spot yours. The 3 exact steps to clear them out, even if they feel scary and it only takes 10 minutes, and how to use this tool everywhere in your relationships, in your business, how to unlock energy, clarity, and the next level of results that you're looking for. And so I believe, and I will put my life on this in the name of Jesus, that this exercise can change everything for you if you're willing to do it. And so without further ado, let's dive in. All right, everybody, welcome back. We're going to talk about stinky fish. Like, I want you to imagine in this moment that you bought a salmon or some other fish that you love, like a swordfish at the grocery store. It went into your car on the passenger floor, slid under your seat, and you forgot about it. And then you imagine its smell of that on day 1, on day 7, on day 30. Well, we're going to talk today about how that relates to business, because every one of us is an entrepreneur, everyone, myself included, we have a thought, a feeling, a story that we are scared to say out loud. And the longer we hide it, the more it stinks and the more it poisons our business. And this is where the concept of stinky fish comes in. This stinky fish exercise is a tool that I use for all my clients, for myself at my events, all the time. And it is one of the most profound exercises that you can do. Number 1, because it allows you to release it, name it, and then be intentional about overcoming it. But number 2 is it starts to humanize every other entrepreneur you're around. And you realize that you're not the only one who feels that way. You're not the only one who thinks that way. And it's a permission slip to get back to work, aligned, deep work. And The reason I'm doing this podcast is because we have our event coming up, probably like in 30 days if you're listening to this. So go to mindofgeorge.com/retreat. We cap it at 25 entrepreneurs, but this is always the first exercise that we start with. And it sets the context for the entire event. People have breakthroughs just from this exercise alone, and it's been coming up a lot. So I wanted to share it with you. So at the event and with my private clients, when I go do an intensive or when we're doing one-on-one coaching, the first thing I start with is the stinky fish. And what is a stinky fish? A stinky fish is simply this. It is a suppressed thought, feeling, or belief. So some examples, right? Really easy ones like, I'm not good enough. Everyone else has it figured out but me. I don't deserve success. Everyone else is further ahead. They have more followers, more YouTube subscribers, more Instagram followers. There's too many podcasts already, so I can't launch one. That person's going to say no if I make an offer. No one will ever watch this clip that I make. No one will ever read this post. If I fail, I will lose everything. So those are a few examples, right? So these thoughts or feelings, beliefs, and stories that we tell ourselves that we never speak out loud, but we trap inside of our brain. And here's the challenge with it. The more it's hidden, the smellier it gets. And when you leave it unchecked, it starts to drive our habits and behaviors and actions. It drives resentment. It drives reactive decisions. We'll procrastinate. We'll put things off. And so if you ever have felt this way or you feel this way right now, this episode is for you. I'm going to keep it short, to the point, with an exercise. And so you might see it showing up in your business or in your life different ways. You might have outgrown your systems and your processes in your business, but you keep trying to force them anyways because there's something you don't want to face. You might be sitting there working every day, but silently questioning whether you're even capable of getting to that next level or hitting that next milestone in your business. A really simple one that I find for myself all the time is if I find myself avoiding tasks, launches, follow-up, team conversations, following up with clients or customers out of fear, there's a stinky fish that needs to be eradicated. You might feel reactive and tired. You might have been excited a couple months ago, but now there's this resentment building up. And the business that you built to set you free, the one that you love, you're starting to resent it. Those are some of the symptoms that are caused by us not speaking these things into existence, by not actually bringing light to these things and removing them. I think about it like surgery. And I truly believe that this is just a part of the game. Every new level, every new strategy, every new tactic, every new win comes with a new level of stories, noise from the world, limiting beliefs, comparison games, the things that we start to face. Our brain starts to make stories about them. But the hard truth is those stories are what prevent us from taking the action that would break through that story. And so the symptoms are really, really easy to spot. The number one symptom that I see every single time is procrastination. I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Like I just procrastinate on the next thought so I could find my thought. The number one symptom is procrastination, right? When we know what needs to be done, we have a list in front of us, we have a deadline in the calendar, but yet we keep putting it off. Or we just add sticky notes to sticky notes to sticky notes, and then we move the sticky notes to the next day. That's a giant symptom. Another one on the other spectrum is overworking. So constantly working, go, do. You put your head on the pillow, the thoughts can't stop. You're thinking about work, but never allowing ourselves to slow down and be and reflect. Another one is micromanagement, putting your hands in absolutely everything, seeing everything to the mundane task. Or the big trap is constant comparison, where every decision that you make is being audited in comparison to somebody else that isn't in your business or isn't in your life. And when these symptoms are showing up because we're not speaking to our fears, we're not allowing ourselves to be human, we're not realizing that everybody else feels the same way, but for some reason we're not allowed to, it has a massive impact on the business. If you have a team, what happens with your team is they don't trust your clarity. They don't buy into what you're doing. If you have a team or you're doing this alone, your projects will stall. You'll have deadlines moved. You might even get to the worst part, which is where your customers feel disconnected, where they feel like something's different or something's off compared to how it used to be. Those are all the things that come downstream of us not allowing ourselves to truly be who we are and allow these thoughts and feelings to have a voice to get rid of them. And on the personal front, this is the bucket where it's the easiest to see. And if this lands for you, I'm going to really invite you to do this exercise. But on the personal front, we got burnout, or we have these inner feelings as an entrepreneur where we have guilt and frustration, right? We are literally guilty for taking time off. We're guilty for not working enough. We're guilty for working too much. We're getting frustrated. Simple things that used to excite us, like writing an Instagram caption, recording a podcast, right? Getting on a client call. Now, all of a sudden, we're frustrated with and we're starting to resent them, or we're starting to push back against them. We might even feel like success isn't enough. Those are all things that are caused by us not allowing ourselves to be human. And so you, in this moment, listening to this, have built something incredible, no matter where you are in your business, no matter what level you're on. The fact that you have one, that you're working on one, that you're building one, that you're pushing it forward is incredible. But I know for me personally, this is something I struggled with for a long time, is in that process, we end up suffocating under these thoughts and feelings that we've never named. We just constantly compensate over, I'm going to do more, I'm going to do more, I'm going to do more. Or we'll have these thoughts like, oh, I'm not working hard enough. And immediately we will dive back into work before ever processing it, unpacking it, asking if it could be different. And these are the things that lead us to feel quote unquote stuck. But on paper, it looks like we're winning. There's this disconnect or cognitive dissonance that's happening because what we're thinking and feeling isn't matching what we're seeing, and it starts to create this frustration. And so this is where the Stinky Fish exercise comes in. And this is one of those exercises that you should do it all the time. All my friends, everybody who's been to our event, if you're listening to this, once you do this exercise, it literally becomes a pattern interrupt with all your friends. I will be at dinner with my best friends who are all entrepreneurs, and we'll be sitting at the table and they'll say something like, yeah, and I can't figure it out. And one of us will yell stinky fish, right? Or we'll be sitting on a meeting and someone's like, yeah, but I don't know how to edit video. And they're like, stinky fish. Or they're like, yeah, I thought about doing it, but I don't think the idea is going to work. And we're like, stinky fish. And by naming it, by acknowledging it, it no longer has power over us. So how do you do this stinky fish exercise? Well, there's two very important parts to the exercise. Number one is self-integrity. Number two is being witnessed in it. Okay. So the first part, self-integrity, you grab a piece of paper, and I do this. I actually draw a Jesus fish on the paper and I write them all in the Jesus fish. But I grab a piece of paper and I sit there and I allow myself to write down every limiting belief, every excuse, every fear that I'm holding on to, but I have not said out loud. So these internal dialogues that I'm afraid to have sometimes with people, or I'm like, people are going to judge me if they know I feel this way. Those are the thoughts. Those are the feelings. And what I have found is when you allow the pen to move freely, it starts to fill itself out. And so step one is setting dedicated time, like go out in nature, no computer, no phone, pen and paper, and put yourself in a different environment and allow yourself 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and write down every single limiting belief, excuse, or fear that you're holding on to, but you haven't said out loud. Okay. The next step, and this is the one that nobody likes to do, is you read them out loud to yourself. Like you read them out loud. Like you look at that paper and you sit there by yourself and say, I'm not good enough. I'm such a failure and I feel like I'm never going to make it. There's no point in me launching a podcast because everybody else has one. And when you're reading them out loud, I want you to notice how heavy they feel when they're hidden away, and you start to realize how much space they take up in your brain and in your capacity. Okay, so step one is write them down. Step two is read them out loud to yourself. And then the most important step is step 3, which is to be witnessed in them. This is where you share them. And not the photo of them. You have the photo, but you call a peer, you call your coach if I'm your coach. You share with a business partner who you're in with. You share with a friend or a confidant like your partner. And you say, hey, do you have a couple of minutes? I want to share all these stinky fish that are coming up for me because I really want to work through them and get past them. And you share them. You sit down. Your team is a great place as well. We do this as a team. But you then share them and you use your list as reference. And you're like, oh man, I've been feeling this. I've been thinking this. This is what I'm up against. But what you will learn when you practice these is that when you speak them, they lose power. When you speak them out loud, they're no longer ruminating in your brain, right? I'm a geeky little guy. I study brain science and all these other things, but this is powerful. And I'm sure if you're listening to this right now, you can imagine a moment or remember a moment in your life where you were afraid to have a hard conversation, right? Maybe you were afraid to talk to a team member or talk to a partner, or even you had a significant other and there was something that you desired in the relationship and you were petrified to have the conversation. And maybe you put it off for months and months, but then finally something caused that conversation to happen. And when that conversation happened and you spoke it out loud, no matter how scared you were, no matter how fearful you were, you felt immediately lighter. And then truthfully, the outcome was probably 10 times better than you ever expected. And you realized that that month or 2 months or 3 months that you hadn't said anything, you weren't operating in your power. You weren't operating as your best self. You weren't operating as the version of you that can succeed because it's constantly in our brain. And so if we don't actively eradicate these, or this is what I say, weed the garden, Stinky Fish Exercises us pulling out the weeds of the garden, then what we end up doing is building this internal resentment and reactivity in everything in our life, our personal life, our relationships, our business, our friendships, our tasks, our podcasts, you name it. And the fastest way to eradicate it is to genuinely shine the light on the thoughts that stink in the dark, that are rotting in the dark, or to weed the garden, if you want a different metaphor, of the weeds that are choking your plants that have the fruit that you want to eat. Because if you go plant a garden right now and you plant strawberries and you love strawberries and you don't tend to that garden, those weeds will take over. Then it will choke the plant, it will choke it of nutrients. Then you won't have strawberries. That's what stinky fish thoughts, feelings, and beliefs do to us as well. And when I share this analogy, I ask everybody, like, would you ever put this fish in your car? And they're like, never. But you got to imagine that when you have that stinky fish slide under your seat, if you remove it in a day, you won't notice. You remove it in 2 days, you won't notice. Once you remove it after a week, you're going to need to really get some air fresheners and clean that car. Once you remove it after a month, you're most likely going to have to rip the carpet out of the car, go down to the frame to get the smell out. You leave it for 90 days, it rots a hole in the board of the floor of the vehicle, and it will permanently be in there forever, and it deteriorated the structure of your car. It is identical for us as human beings. And so this is a powerful, powerful concept, especially when I say we don't have the business we want because we haven't become the person to run it. If we think about ourselves as athletes in entrepreneurship, we would never want the star quarterback to go into the biggest game of their life and be like, I'm going to fail. I'm going to lose. I don't belong on this field, because they wouldn't win the game. We need to think about ourselves as the player in our business and in our life as well, and give ourselves the space and the tools to process through our growth so that we can execute at our best. Because all too often we'll hide thinking we need another strategy, we need another tactic. But what we really, really need is we need to be honest with ourselves. And the fastest way is to name your stinky fish, like name it, and then be witnessed in it. Because what that does is it clears space for us to take intentional action. It creates space for us to have a better perspective of the situation in front of us. It creates space for us to make sure that the actions that we're taking are aligned with where we want to go and where we want to grow. And this is powerful. And when you do this with a mentor, like a coach like me, or peers when you come to our event and you guys build relationships at the retreat and at the event, you realize that just the thought of sending these to a peer or calling a peer and being like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. Pattern interrupts us instantly. We get to name it, and then we get to take an action that proves it wrong. And so I want you to really, really think about this, because at the core, what you have to understand, and you can hear it from me, or you can go hear it from 100 successful entrepreneurs who have all written it in their books and talked about it on their podcasts. And there's a reason that it's said so often. Your business will never outgrow the beliefs that you refuse to face. They won't. If you have a belief that my business only looks like this, that's what you're going to build. If you have a belief that you can never be in shape, that's the result you're going to have. If you have a belief that your relationship will always have fights, that's what you're going to have. But when you start to change those beliefs, and when you start to grow those beliefs, everything around you starts to change. And the fastest path to change those beliefs is to acknowledge with love and grace our stinky fish that are already trapped under the seats in our car. And so my challenge for you, and I mean this, is to, the moment this episode ends, like within the day that you're listening to this, even if it's at 11 o'clock at night, I want you to take 5 to 10 minutes and write down your stinky fish. And I implore you, I don't even know if that word means what it's supposed to, but it felt right in that moment. I implore you, when they're done, that you share it with somebody you trust. It's important that you share it with somebody you trust, who's not going to judge you, who's not going to make you wrong. Most likely they're going to be like, dude, I feel that way too. Or have you ever thought about this perspective? Or have you not seen what I see? And I want you to share it. And I want you to notice how much lighter you feel. And I want you to commit from this point forward to eradicating all the weeds in your garden whenever they come up. This is one of the most powerful and profound exercises that you will ever do. And it's simple. This is just one of the tools that gets you started, but I want you to use it. It is powerful. It is profound. It will not only change you, it will change your business. It will also change the people around you as you create safety for them as well. And so I wanted to share this today because it was been in my heart. So I think all of us get to commit, pick your metaphor, either removing all the weeds out of our garden or removing all the stinky, smelly fish that are rotting in our cars. And whenever we find a new one added, you remove it again. And I'm going to close with this. At the event, what we do, and I would love to have you at the event, we have a couple tickets left. On day one, we focus on the player, which is you. On day two, we focus on the playbook, which is marketing, messaging, customer journey. And on day three, we focus on the plan and the processes to put it into action. We do the stinky fish at the very beginning of day one, and we hang it on the wall, and we tell everybody, because I do it too. I have ones like, I don't feel qualified to run this event. And I say this in front of everybody, and then they all give me feedback like my business tripled or quadrupled, or this was the best thing ever. But I still face those same fears and feelings. So we all write them down and we put it on the wall. And then we all agree that at any point over the event, when we go home, when we come in, when we hear a question and we have another one, we get up and we add another one to the list. Sometimes you just go tally mark somebody else's, but this is a process that we get to keep so that we can stay focused, so that we can stay clear, so that we can stay in alignment, and we can create the results that we want. And so that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I absolutely love you to pieces. I appreciate you immensely. I hope this was helpful. And you have 100% my permission to take your stinky fish and send them to me. So if you want to send me a 1-minute audio on Instagram, if you want to send me a picture and then tell me what they are, I will witness you in them. I will acknowledge you in them. I will give you feedback on them, and I am here to help you. But I wanted to share. And so I wish you the most beautiful, beautiful of days. Now let's go get those stinky fish out of the garden. Let's go remove the rot. Let's go remove the weeds and get back to where it matters, making a difference in the world through our businesses. And so I love you to pieces. I'll either see you in the next episode or you will hear me in your earballs. But either way, we out.